Hello, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm the guy with the episodes and the season thing with the restaurants and then dating all that. Okay. Right now I'm gonna stop for a while because I have to um recollect. I gotta do a lot of research before I continue with the restaurant issue and the dating issue, dating and marriage. Those are two different episodes, different segments that I'm trying to create to help someone that might need some advice about dating and marriage. You know what I mean? Because you know, marriage, to tell you the honest truth, is a very, 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 it's a very big step. Period. It's much more bigger than buying a Lincoln Continental, buying a car, and then you have to, um, I don't know, sign a bill or note that you're going to make a promise that you're going to pay, and you know you have to pay every month. If not, they'll repo your car and they'll take it away and they'll pick it up and you're gone, no more car. So now you have to now you got to go back to Uber or scooter or bike or somebody take you to work. So what I'm saying is, I talk about myself now. I want to talk about myself. I was married twice. Twice I was married. And what really gets me pissed off, what gets me angry, is the fact that in both occasions, those marriages were never meant to be. I wasted years. I'm 70 now, and I only got one daughter and one adopted son, and I got 5 grandchildren, and plus 3 stepdaughters and another one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grandchildren over there in Mexico. So my first marriage, I met this lady in a bus. I met her on a bus. That's how we met. Because I used to work in Manhattan on Wall Street. I was not a Wall Street guy, by the way, because once you people hear you from Wall Street, or you work near Wall Street or 2 blocks away or 1 block away or 10 feet away, they think you got money. It doesn't work that way. When we say, oh, I used to work downtown Wall Street, that means I was working like few blocks from the stock exchange. That's what it means. Wall Street, the street, it runs from Broadway all the way past Pearl, all the way South Street, all the way into the water. It goes like that. So this is New York, right? So this is Broadway, and it goes like this all the way east on Wall Street. So Wall Street is a big financial area, and what's happening for the past 10 or more years, more than 10 years, there has been a tremendous change on the Wall Street area. There's a big change. Everything is turning into hotels. It's turning into condos, and that all the buildings that were financial institutions and stuff like that, they're turning them into condos, co-ops. They're turning them into, when you buy a house, you buy a building, you buy a floor, whatever. So all the financial stuff is disappearing. Somebody told me that what's happening with Wall Street, that Wall Street is going underground, meaning you go to Wall Street, you go on the floor, it's empty. You only see a couple of people there. But back in the days, you're talking like 2000, 2017 and back, it was crowded. It was very crowded, but not anymore. Anyway, so I was married to this woman. I met her on a bus going home one night, and she was scratching a little scratchy, those stupid games. And I said, "Hey, how you doing? What's up?" Okay, whatever. And finally, in the process of time, we met again. She invited me to her house to meet her parents. And, after that, we began to date. We began to date and to date and to date, dating, thinking about going out and, and just plain dating. And we used to go out everywhere. We used to go here, go there, go over there, go down there. And we were one whole year just seeing each other, just going places, doing things, doing our stuff. And I don't know what happened, that one day her mother, during that process, her mother began to dislike me a lot. And I said, because, they were Baptists. I'm Pentecostal, but they were Baptists. And what's happening with the Baptist people, that they don't get along with the Pentecostals, and the Pentecostals don't get along with the Baptists. It all has to do with a little doctrine disagreement. That's what it is. That's what it is. All these different churches that you find, Pentecostal this, Pentecostal that, Assemblies of God, Free Church, Evangelical, and Independent, all that is all has to do because a tiny little disagreement. So now I'm going to go and open up a church, and I'm going to create my own doctrine. Anyway, so her mother began to dislike me a lot. I mean, this woman used to give me dirty looks. And I said, this is not going to work out. I told my girlfriend back then, was my ex-wife, I told her, listen, you're going to have to talk to your mother, or I'm going to talk to your mother. Oh, no, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Okay, good. Nothing ever happened. She was still the same, the mother. When she found out I was Pentecostal, oof, she even got worse. Anyway, you got to have the love of Jesus in your heart. You cannot just, hold grudges and hold unforgiveness in your heart. That's not Christ-like. If you're Christ-like, if you're Christian, you love Jesus Christ, you're going to have to put up with all that stuff, and you're going to have to forgive and pardon and forget about it, and don't let that get to you at all. Because if it does, if you allow yourself to be conquered by the dark side, you got a serious problem. You need to reevaluate your life and find out where you're standing in Christ. Maybe you left them or something. Find out where you're at, bro. But if you start harboring unforgiveness, harboring grudges, harboring resentment to somebody because they don't like you, all that kind of stuff, like in my case with my ex-mother-in-law, and then what's going to happen if you don't deal with that and get rid of it, it's gonna eat you up, and you're gonna end up back in the world, and you're gonna be a lemon. You're gonna turn to a lemon, and everything's gonna bother you. You're gonna be like a fool, like that. So anyway, excuse me for a second. I'm drinking my tea, and what happened? We got married, and listen, that marriage was never meant to be. Honest to God. You know why? Let me tell you the funny parts about this marriage. Let me enter into the realm of. Anyway, her father one time told me, "Oh, I want you to leave my house. I want you to see my daughter no more." Anyway, I was seeing her on the side. She used to go to school, so I used to go pick her up and take her to my house, have coffee, breakfast, dinner. We used to hang out, go to the movies, go everywhere. So what happened when we got married, her mother rented a van. I didn't knew that, but I sort of find out that she rented a van. And we rented this Ukrainian hall in Jersey City by Central Avenue, somewhere near Central Avenue towards, I forget the other street, Jesus. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, in the wedding, a lot of things happened. A lot of freaking things happened that you couldn't believe. That it proved to me that this marriage wasn't going to go nowhere. We got married by the court, City Hall. We borrowed a couple of rings. Anyway, I didn't have no money. And I was working on Wall Street. If somebody tells you that they work on Wall Street and they can afford a ring to get engaged, you got a problem. Maybe you're working on Garter Street. You know the Garter? I'm telling you, some people, man. So what happened in the wedding, I told the lady, do not open the bar because this is a Christian wedding. She said, oh, no problem, my friend. Whatever. So when the wedding came, what the lady do? She opened the bar. Everybody went to the bar. Everybody got drunk. One lady, my brother came with his wife. At that time, I remember, was his wife. My sister, my niece from Vegas, and my sister and her husband, and a lady, a Polish lady or Italian or something. That lady got drunk, and she was dancing and kicking like she was a horse. Whatever. And then I walked to the bar and everybody was there. I said, wow. And the cake came still, they made it that morning. Because what happened that the father, the husband of the lady, the owners of the bakery, he died. So they had to make the cake early in the morning, bring it to the place, and it was still warm, and it was sliding sideways, like that Lina pizza, over in Italy, like that. It was funny. It was funny, freaking funny. And then my ex-wife mother, she made 2 giant bouquets, and we put something like that so we could put the flowers on top on the entrance. Those were stolen. by the way, and I'm going to tell you who. When I was watching the video 2 years later, that was 99, 2000, 2001, when I was watching the video for the first time, I noticed that there was a guy picking up the flowers and walking backwards. And I went, I told everybody, what the guy's walking backwards? Isn't the movie going forward? But he made it look like we were rewinding the movie. Like, look how stupid this guy is. I said, look, that's the guy that saw the flowers. And you guess what he was? He was the boyfriend of our stepsister. Okay? Our stepsister, she practiced witchcraft. Her brother practiced witchcraft. Everybody's into witchcraft in that family over there. So then when her stepsister went to talk in the front, you know, everybody wants to say a testimony, everybody wants to say something, whatever. That lady, she was talking, and when I saw her, that my wife was standing next to me, when I saw her mouth was moving, but it wasn't her. I saw a spirit inside of that mouth was talking. She wasn't talking. Somebody else was talking. And I went, oh, in the name of Jesus, I rebuke you, Satan. I got scared, bro. I got goosebumps. I got scared. I said, oh my God, what the hell am I dealing here with? Anyway, it turns out that after a lot of people, I was expecting 30 cousins from Brooklyn, New York, and now they never came. My brother never stood up in place of my mother to whatever. Nobody did not help me at all on my family side. They never came to the wedding. Only my brother, his wife, my sister, her husband, my niece, and that was it. And that lady, that crazy lady, was jumping around like a horse. So what happened that the famous van that her mother rented, we had to pay it back. And then we only collected $700 out of 100 something people. We collected 700 or 800, or it was 1,000. We rented. We collected 1,000 something. We had to pay the band, and we had to pay something else. I forgot what it was, and we really had enough money for nothing else. Here to show you. And then a bunch of kids came, and they were sitting down on one table, and they were dressed up dirty with dirty sneakers and whatever have you. And I told my ex-wife, I said, who the hell invited these people? They're not even dressed up right. Oh no, those are my friends of my friend. I said, oh, okay, whatever. That marriage was from hell. Trust me. My wife turned around a year, 2 years later, in 2002. She told me that she's seeing somebody else. I said, oh, really? So I went like this to her. Oh, really? So Monday morning, I went to court and I filed the divorce papers. And then she got pregnant by that same guy on top of that. And she came pregnant to the courtroom when we got divorced. That's to show you, bro, how people are in here. That marriage was from hell. It was never meant to be. If I had a time machine right now, I will go back to that day and cancel everything and get the hell out of New Jersey and move back to New York and find somebody else. And that's it. And then what happened, I waited 15 more years I waited 15 years, and then I found somebody else, and I married a Mexican lady. I met her in Facebook, and then her daughter told me, hey, you want to meet my friend? I said, yes, I want to meet your friend. Can I give her your number? Yes, give her my number. So her friend called me, which was her mother. But she didn't want to say her mother. She wanted to say friend. So what happened, that I started meeting this lady, talking to her, blah, blah, blah. But we were talking like for a long time. So I finally, in 2018, I went to Bakersfield, California. I rented a car. I went to Bakersfield, California. It took me 7 days. And I went over there and I bought a car, a Ford Fusion XE hybrid. And I took it to Vegas, and I took it over here, I took it over there. And then I had an accident in Scottsdale, Arizona. And then the car was taken away. And then they gave me a rental. And with that rental, I went to Austin, Texas. And that's where I met this lady. And then I took her back with me to Arizona to stay with me for 1 week until I get back my car. And then I took her everywhere, and I treated her real nice and everything. And when she went back to Mexico, I told her, listen, I'm going back to New York, and you're going back to Mexico. You don't know what I'm doing over there, and I don't know what you're doing over there. So let's make a pact. Let's make a covenant that we could keep ourselves for each other. We, keep ourselves, be faithful to each other, and don't mess around. She said, oh, I got it. And then I went back to New York. I took her to McAllen, and I dropped her off in McAllen, and then she crossed over to Reynosa, Mexico. And then I went back home, and I went back all the way up north, and then I took I-10, and I went back to New York. Actually, I went back to San Antonio, and then I went back to New York. And then New York, I did all that I could do. I did my cataracts. I did my colon. I did a whole bunch of stuff. I took the passport. I did a lot of stuff just to get ready to go back to Texas to meet this woman so we can get married. Because we decided we're going to get married. So we got married. And the freaking woman, I don't know what happened over here. It's another marriage from hell. Let me give you more details about it. So what happened, that she was very nice, beautiful woman, all kissing, all that. Oh, all right. And I took all my stuff. I left New York. I took all my stuff out of my apartment. I left the apartment to my niece over there. And I went and I brought my stuff to San Antonio, but I was in Austin staying with this lady. And then we finally went and consulted with somebody, and then we got the papers, and then we got married. And then we had a lady from church sign the papers, thank God, And then we drove to McAllen and Reynosa, and then back to Zacatecas, Mexico. We went to I went to move in with her in Mexico. And when I moved in to her house, when I crossed the door was open, and I crossed in, like a threshold, like that. As soon as I went in, I felt unwelcome. I felt like, what the hell is this? Could it be because I'm here for the first time? I don't know. Anyway, that same week, this woman wanted to get laid with another man while I was there in the house. Look at the balls that this woman has. Look at the audacity, the freaking audacity this woman had. She planned it all along from Texas until we got to Mexico. She planned it all. And what happened, that when the guy came to the house, she said that the light broke, that there was no light in the house. So I said, well, what the hell? We tried everything. We tried the breakers and everything. Nothing didn't work. And you know what the guy told me? The guy told me, listen, I want you to go to the hardware store and go get the piece that I need. So I was about to walk out, and I went, wait a minute, what the hell this guy sending me to the store? I don't know this place. So I turned back and I said, yo, what's your problem, bro? How you gonna send me out there by myself? You know, what are you doing? You know, and I told him, nobody doesn't stay here alone with my wife. Period. And he looked at me like this, and my wife looked at me like this, like, uh-oh, he blew my freaking cover. And exactly what I did. I blew the cover because she was planning. She thought I was so stupid. She thought I was going to go and get lost in the street out there looking for a freaking hardware store while they were doing their thing in the bed over there in the couch or whatever have you. And I caught it right away. And I said, something is wrong. And I said, no, you're not staying here with my wife. You go get that freaking piece yourself. So that's what happened. Then I told my wife afterwards, I said, I don't like this guy. I think this is disrespectful, what he did, blah, blah, blah. And then my wife, she starts saying, yeah, but, you gotta get so serious. I say, it's not getting serious. It's not an issue of getting serious. You don't do that. How am I going to go to somebody's house and tell the guy, listen, I'm going to stay here with your wife. Now you go buy some groceries. What the hell is that? So she had all this planned out from the get-go. Okay? So this woman, she turned toxic. Bro, we were fighting, cursing at each other, screaming like two idiots. And this woman what happened, that since she didn't get her way, because I caught up to a lot of things, she got pissed off. She didn't like it. She wanted me to pass her $500 every month because it's something that is a custom here in Mexico. She was full of shit. That's what she was. She wanted to take my pension. That's what she wanted to take. She wanted my pension. She wanted everything. But I told her, I'm sorry, Charlie, but that doesn't work with me. I'm Puerto Rican. Bye-bye. See you later. I told her, go F yourself. So what happened, she got more pissed off, and then we were fighting, arguing. She was calling me a bunch of names. She was cursing me, pronouncing curses. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. My friend, I began to pray and seek the Lord, and I said, God, help me. And God began to reveal things to me about her, that this woman is not good for nothing. This woman was never cut out for marriage. Never. All she did was sleep around and have children. That's what she did. So what happened, that I finally, she hid my passport, and then when she went to work, I ransacked the entire house, and I found my passport hidden somewhere, and that's when I put it here, and I said, now I'm going to get the hell out of this place. So I made up a big excuse, and I said, I'll see you later, Gator. I got to go back to New York. I got to go back to Puerto Rico. I got things to do, which was all true. And I just left. I was in a bus for 10 hours. I reached Reynosa, McAllen, San Antonio, and then from there, me and my niece, we went to New York. And that was it. This is to show you, my friend, before you get married, before you even start dating, don't fall. If you see any red flags, stop it. If you see any red flags, I don't care, they're big, they're small, act upon it immediately and stop it. And walk away from that relationship, because if you don't walk away, you're going to fall into a lot of trouble. You're going to fall into a lot of mistakes, like happened to me with my second wife. And I knew the flags were there, but I wasn't paying attention. I didn't bother to really look into it. And look what happened. So be careful out there. Please, be very careful. I'm telling you, be careful. Please. God bless you, and have a night. And tomorrow, I'm going to continue with my story about what happened, okay, in Mexico. This is just part one. Okay, God bless.